Fantastic.
Perfect. And I can see the chat. Sharing screen all right for you, Katrina?
Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic.
Good. Okay, starts in 3 minutes.
As people come in, where do we get? Oh, the participants. There we go. Lovely.
Oh, brilliant. People are joining. Amazing.
Yeah, we've got 26 people coming in already. Fantastic.
You're welcome to share where you're from in the chat. You know, we'd love to know where you're all kind of based. I'm based in Kent. Sun is shining.
I'm currently, oh yeah, but it's really sunny there. I am in Bristol, where it's also very sunny. Where is everyone today? Please do write in the chat. It would be wonderful to just get people engaging.
Sunny Warrington. Oh no.
Hi, Mike. Stoke-on-Trent. Oh, I used to do a lot of work in Stoke-on-Trent. Welcome, Donna. Liverpool, London, fantastic.
Isle of Man, nice.
Oh, Brian also in Bristol.
Yeah, you've got some
fantastic.
No one from Kent yet. Oh, Taunton. Chilly. Yeah, the sun is shining in Kent, but it is still chilly. It is still chilly.
Let's call it fresh.
No tornadoes. Was there a tornado? Donna, I hope. Yeah,
I'm going to have to look after this webinar. Crikey.
Oh, a mini on Monday. Wow.
Wow.
Didn't know that. Oh,
lovely.
Oh, it's brilliant to see so many people here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. How many more have we got? 61. Fantastic.
Work in London, live in Essex. Yeah. Well, I live in Kent, but also Thrive's based in London. So yeah, every couple of weeks go into London as well. All right, it's 12 o'clock.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So, hello everyone, and welcome to today's wellbeing workshop, Stress in the Workplace, hosted by Thrive Mental Wellbeing. Firstly, please let us introduce ourselves. My name is Katrina Thomas. I'm a business psychologist and the senior associate here at Thrive, and I have a passion within education and also how stress, in particular workplace stress, impacts the way in which we communicate and perceive the world.
Amazing. Thanks, Katrina. So I'm Lucy. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I'm one of the relationship managers here at Thrive. As a relationship manager, I look after a range of different clients from banks, software companies, charities. And just with my clients alone, I'm really proud that we support over 50,000 people to gain direct access to our team of therapists and our clinically validated tools, all with the aim to improve people's mental well-being. Alongside having over 18 years experience working within mental health in different contexts, I'm also a yoga and breathwork teacher. But I will promise that this webinar is completely downward facing dog free. Yeah, you don't need to have your yoga mat out. This is a webinar.
Phew. Thanks, Luz. Let's have a look at the session overview today. All right, so we are going to be looking at reflecting of our own stress in the workplace. We're going to be sharing with you our 5 most powerful ways to reduce workplace stress. We are going to be looking at setting our own goals. Lucy and I are going to be setting goals as well, and we are inviting you to set your own goals of 5 stress reduction goals to then carry out. We recommend you have a pen and paper available, or use your notes in your phones. We will also be using Slido, so there will be QR codes to scan, to access, or there will be a link. And we also encourage you, please, this is an engaging session. We would love to have you write some notes in chats, comments, share best practice, ask questions. We're going to be monitoring the chat throughout this session.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, when Katrina and I were designing this webinar, our main intention was that it's going to be collaborative, that we want to also hear from you. We want to set goals with you, and we want to leave this webinar with more tools and more knowledge to reduce the stress that all of us have in our life. Okay, so we're gonna start straight off by reflecting on our own stresses. So research has shown that when you reflect on what stresses you out at work, and when you're aware of it, it helps you to figure out what you can do about it, and it makes you better at dealing with the problems. I think it's also nice to share whatever, so we all work in different companies and different settings, but I imagine that we have some similar stresses. So amazing. Someone's already worked out how to use the Slido, which is brilliant. If you've got your phone, you're welcome to do it into the chat. You're welcome to talk into the chat if you find that easier. If not, if you get your phone and you go to the camera function and you go to the QR code, and then it will just, when you click on the link, it will take you straight and you can start to, okay, brilliant. Okay, so these are a lot, Katrina,
We've got huge amounts coming through, Luce. Whilst these are coming up, Lucy, what gets you stressed in the workplace?
Great question. So, as you know, as you work with me, I can get overwhelmed quite quickly. And so when everyone says everything's priority, and it's like, not everything can be priority. And I saw a similar one coming up here. And we're getting some themes as well. Deadlines. Yeah, deadlines, just, I can't, it has to be done then. Uncertainty. Yeah, I can really resonate with that. When you're not sure of what the goals are, what's expected of you, and being in that place of the unknown.
Yeah, we've got some critical work colleagues as well. Having that toxic environment really can make a negative impact in your productivity and how you feel, your ability to cope, your well-being. It can actually impact huge elements in all different ways of how you manage your work time. We've got some chats coming through as well.
I've seen one that Katrina, we can resonate with a lot. So multitasking, not having enough time in between meetings. So we've made a change here at Thrive where all of our meetings are 50 minutes, so that we've got that 10 minutes, and you have to stop. You've got to stop. We've got to prioritize well-being and rest, which we're going to talk about. Internal politics, low workload. Thank you so much. Yeah.
This is a great one as well. Oh, sorry, Luce, go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Finishing things off before holiday. That is an absolute classic. Everything needs to be done. All those, if you take 2 weeks off, you have to do 2 weeks in 2 days, and with everything else involved as well. And then it's being able to switch off and have those boundaries to be able to relax into your holiday. So I can really empathize with that one.
Well, thank you so much. And really, keep note of what yours were, as well. It's good to be reflecting and having that awareness. Thank you so much for everyone sharing. Brilliant. Constant changes. Yeah, when everything constantly changes. Okay. So, Katrina.
Thank you, Luce. So we're going to look at some statistics today in the UK. I know there's some other people that have joined outside of the UK, but we're just kind of focusing on what we can do in this amount of time that we have. In the UK, 74% of adults feel so stressed to the point that they feel overwhelmed and unable to cope. This has a detrimental effect on individuals' work life as well as personal life, and ultimately, if not managed, it can lead to burnout, and no one wants to go to burnout. It is exhaustion, and it is demotivation, and you just don't have the energy to do the most simplest of tasks. We also have people turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms, for example, eating too much or eating unhealthy food. Well, some tried to escape their stress by drinking more or smoking. All these coping mechanisms are short-term and ultimately do not contribute to one's well-being, as they are damaging to our health. So not just physically, but also mentally. And this is why we need to find a solution for ourselves that can help us reduce stress and build our resilience in the long term. So I want to just highlight as well, the last one is the 51% of adults. They reported feeling depressed, and 61% of adults reported feeling anxious as well as stressed. So this shows how crucial it is to manage our stress so that symptoms do not get worse, which can lead to the development of common mental health disorders such as anxiety and depression. So the reason why I wanted to show you, and the reason why Lucy and I decided to create this slide, is that it shows you that these figures that highlight how many of us are feeling or have felt stressed and overwhelmed at some point in our lives. So feel comfortable to open up about your worries, as most people will understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, we're definitely not alone from, with 74%. I mean, that's a huge percentage.
It's huge. And having those conversations can be really, really difficult. But if you know that so many people have those feelings as well, it may well take down those barriers slightly.
So another time for a bit of reflection, I can see already people typing. Thank you. So what signs do you notice when you're starting to get stressed? Hopefully we're not always stressed. So when do you start? What are those signs that you start to go, okay, I know that I'm stressed? Katrina, go ahead. What's the sign? What's that one sign that okay, I'm dealing with stress right now?
Yeah, I usually get some headaches. I get really tired as well. I need to sleep. And also, if I don't get enough sleep from worrying too much, it impacts as well. So sleep for me is really important. I know that, when you are sleeping, you tend to your body is going into repair. So you need to make sure that you get enough sleep. And it always impacts me when I'm stressed. I will overthink and I will have less sleep. I'll wake up thinking about that stressful situation, and I can't really kind of switch off. So I have to remember to put this guided meditation on to make sure that I'm relaxed and I'm getting the amount of sleep that I need, because it does lead to headaches, and it does lead to all different factors as well. So that for me is when I know. Yeah. How about you, Lucy?
Well, I've just seen a couple that I feel so, I didn't even actually, this is why I love this collaborative. I didn't even know they were signs. But getting ill all the time. And the worst thing is when you get ill, then you get more stress because you think, oh, I'm not going to be able to get these things done. And someone else said that knot in the stomach, that's where I feel it. And yeah. Darren, thank you for sharing something in the chat. That's I just want to present that. Thank you for everyone's openness. And I'm really sorry that the stress drove you to feeling in that way. Fatigued, that's another one that I really feel. I just feel tired, and then you can't do those small tasks that you want to do. Someone said appearance, people saying you look ill. Yeah, when people say you don't look well, you think, oh, they're noticing those signs. So thank you so much for everyone for sharing those signs. I'm gonna feel free to note these down by yourself, because I think reminding ourselves what these signs are, so when we start to see them, we know we need to start taking action. I mean, we know we need to start taking action before, but okay, so let me just, we're going to keep these. Thank you. so much. So signs that you're experiencing chronic stress or stress. So yeah, a lot of people have said the physical, the headache,
Mm,
the fatigue, the exhaustion, the digestive
mm,
issues. Someone said IBS, insomnia,
mm,
which only makes things worse, and the weakened immune system. Yeah, they're getting ill all the time.
mhm.
You don't have the immune system to fight off things because it's decreased. The
It's
emotional.
almost like, oh, sorry, it's almost like when you're stressed, your body starts working against you rather than with you. You have the positive stress, but the negative, the chronic stress really does make an impact.
And here, we saw people say this, having that bad temper.
Yeah.
I know that it's actually, I manage to keep things really good at work, but if I'm stressed, it's my temper at home. So it's the loved ones around me that will
Mm.
deal with it. Sadness, feeling emotionally withdrawn, and that catastrophizing little things you think, oh, if that happens, it's the end of the world. If I can't work out how to share the screen in a webinar, oh, it will be awful. And then the behavioral. So Katrina, you mentioned this earlier, that
Mm.
increase substances, withdrawal from social activities, and what have we got yet? And issues focusing. Thank you again for everyone for sharing those. And you can see that, we're not
There's
alone.
loads coming in on the chat as well. Let's just read some on
Yeah,
some.
procrastination as well. So, and that,
Yeah, self-neglect. Yeah, working longer hours and stop looking after oneself. And we don't check in, do we? We don't give us ourselves the time to be able to check in because we get ourselves so externally absorbed that we forget to go internally and say, how am I feeling? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to set my boundaries?
okay, so the next question we have for you is stress ever a benefit for you? Is it ever a good thing? Okay, so so we've got a clear winner here.
We have got a clear winner sometimes.
Yeah. I'm pleased to see that we haven't got, I mean, if that is true for you, but it's good to see that there's not many people that are saying, yes, I always need to be stressed. I think we're aware of like the problems with being stressed. Okay. Yeah, so we've got 70% of people of you joining here today say that there is some benefit to stress. There is some benefit, and sometimes it benefits us. Okay.
Well, I am glad that you've actually said that there is some benefits because a lot of people they link stress to a negative thing, but there is something here called the Yerkes-Dodson curve. I don't know whether anyone's heard of the Yerkes-Dodson bell-shaped curve of optimum levels of arousal. If you have, then please write in the notes. That would be great. If not, then I'm going to explain it to you. So the theory behind this law is that performance increases with physiological mental arousal, but only up to one point, as you can see on that curve. When the stress levels are too high or even too low, performance decreases. So if you imagine this black line here is your performance level, and at the left end is when the stresses are too low, whereas at the right end, the stresses levels may well be too high. And what you're seeing is stress is too high or too low, our performance decreases dramatically. So can you think of a time? I'd like you to think of a time now when you've experienced something like this. For example, when you've had an upcoming deadline, and if the deadline is a couple of months away, your stress levels are going to be low. And you know that you have the time, so therefore you're going to procrastinate perhaps. However, the closer you come to the deadline, the more you're going to have your stress levels rise until you frantically try and complete everything in a couple of days. I've seen a cartoon, and you call this a creative process. At least I have in the past. So yeah, this is a really interesting point of where we actually thrive. The optimum level of arousal is brought about by stress levels, and it's unique to every individual. So for some of us, our optimum levels might be 1 month before a deadline, while for others it could be 2 weeks. It's up to the individual to understand when their concentration and arousal is at best, so they can complete a task to their best ability. Another point to consider is the type of task that needs to be completed. So if it's unfamiliar to you and you have a new task, it's likely that the stress levels are going to be quite high to begin with. So it may be wiser to start a task earlier so time pressures doesn't add more stress to the workload and your work day. And again, every situation is unique and every individual is unique in their ability to use their stress levels for optimum performance. But it's a really nice and clear and simple way to establish where you are, or maybe where your team is, your colleagues are. You can use this as a reflection piece as well. So it's just looking at what kind of stress is bringing in. Are you getting the right level to be able to really thrive and be productive?
Katrina, thank you so much. And I think it's been really well summed up in the chat by Mark. Thank you for sharing that. He said that I work to real-time deadlines. I work my best when it's a tough shift. I work my best and love it when it's all going wrong and there's no time but to make decisions and deal with the consequences. But I just can't take multiple shifts like that in a short period. So that's, a bit of stress is good. I felt stressed on this webinar. We've got almost 200 people here. I want to honor your time. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want the share screen not to work. I don't want my internet to go down. So there's that bit of stress, but it's making me more alert. It's making me focus. So that's good. But I wouldn't be able to do 5 of these in a day, and then again, it would have to be separated. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
It's really interesting as well, Lucy, because for me, webinars is something that I thrive on, and I would be able to do 3 or 4 a day. So it just shows how unique we are in the different types of optimum levels of arousal. What you can work with and what you can't. And it's really getting to know yourself and knowing where your limits are and working with them.
Yeah, and you could definitely tell I'm always a bit nervous before. I'm like, is this working? We've got to meet before. And you're like, this is good. What is chronic stress? So acute stress we know can be helpful. People have different amounts of it. But what's chronic stress? So chronic stress is a prolonged state of psychological and emotional tension that persists over an extended period of time. So unlike acute stress, which is temporary and triggered by a specific event or situations, chronic stress persists for weeks, months, even years. And it can have a significant impact on our physical health, mental well-being, overall quality of life. So we've talked a little bit about the signs, but it weaken the immune system, and then that can lead to chronic health conditions, disease, diabetes, digestive disorders. And also, if you already have kind of pre-existing medical conditions, it can exacerbate it. It's also related to the mental health disorders, anxiety, depression, insomnia. So managing chronic stress involves identifying and addressing underlying stressors. So we've done that a little bit at the beginning of this webinar, where we've reflected on what stresses us out in the workplace. And then it's about implementing the coping strategies to reduce the stress levels, which brings us nicely onto the next part of our webinar. So what do you do to reduce your stress? Katrina, what are your go-to when you're seeing those signs of stress? What are your go-tos for reducing it?
Oh, okay. So are we talking about unhealthy coping mechanisms or healthy coping mechanisms?
Okay.
Because I am not, I'm not an angel. I have unhealthy. I have wine is my go-to sometimes, and that's why sometimes it's difficult with sleep, because when I'm going into that unhealthy pattern, which I have done before, not so much now, but for me that extra couple of glasses of wine, which means I don't sleep as much. I need to sleep more because my body is going into recovery, and having those toxins means that you need a couple more hours. But yeah, that's been an unhealthy coping mechanism. But to reduce stress on a healthy side, I have a gym next to me. I use the gym a lot. I go swimming, walking, really, really good. Listening to music. I think that's really important as well. And just creating that space. So I'm quite a creative person, so having that space to be creative really does help the distraction of stresses, and almost allows me space to just relax. How about you, Lucy?
Well, I'm
You
just
do yoga, don't you? I'm sure.
yeah, my
It
yoga
must be.
is a big part of it. And also I've seen here people are putting up walks in nature. Those are my two go-tos. I'm also seeing that, thank you, Katrina, for being honest, that there are these healthy, unhealthy, and I think, sometimes we can indulge a little bit. We work in well-being, and I think it's good for us to also, mention that we're not perfect and we're in good company. We've got 6 chocolates, we've got 4 wines, but we've also got the walking, the exercising, yes, and the meditating and the yoga. So we know that there's these different tools that we use.
We've got some coming in from the messages as well. Hobbies. I love watching football. At a match, I can forget the outside world. Yeah, it's just creating that space, isn't it? Like having the space between work and personal life. Tai Chi, Qigong, lovely. Sally, I reached burnout and realized I needed to change jobs, which I did. It takes some getting used to not having the adrenaline rush, though. Of course we do get addicted to that adrenaline, don't we?
Yeah.
It's something, those dopamine, serotonin of, and the rush of the adrenaline, it really is an addictive thing. So fantastic, well done, Sally, to take that step into a new life and a different way of living.
And reading these is really makes sense of why we've structured this webinar in this way, where we're going to talk about the goals that we're going to set ourselves, because everybody's unique. So I never want to tell someone this is exactly what you should do to reduce the stress in your life, because your life is different. Your life is, you may have a family life that takes up a lot of time. All of our situations are completely unique, and also what we enjoy to reduce stress. There's probably a few people here who don't want to do yoga, so I'm not going to sit here and go on about the benefits of yoga, because it might not be for everyone. So for some other people it can be something else. I don't want to sit and watch a football game, but so there's these different things. So I'm really pleased to see that so many of you here have, what helps reduce your stress, and you're probably aware of what the things are healthy and what the things are the unhealthy. So we're in good company here. Okay, so I'm gonna oh, and thank you for responding to each other. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that someone, it's been over 2 years. And and I don't believe that in just one short webinar we're going to be able to reduce all of that stress, because it's a long journey. But thank you for sharing that.
I think it's interesting as well that people are using the kind of I escape, that's kind of a common word, isn't it? Escaping from, when it shouldn't be escape. It should be that, like, the balance. But it look at the way in which the language is being used, the way you're perceiving your time out, the perceiving the space you're creating for yourself to be able to relax. Try to make it less of an escape and an absolute must, a need.
Yeah. Okay, so the next bit we're going to do is we're going to talk about the most powerful way to reduce your work stress. Now, while we go through this, we would love you to set a goal for each of the 5 categories of the strategies, and we'd love you to set a goal. We're also going to set a goal with you. Now, I think many of you in the corporate space will be aware of what a SMART goal is, so making sure that the goal is specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, and time bound. So we don't want to just say, I'm going to take rest during a goal. Shouldn't be, I'm going to take rest throughout the work during the workday. It should be more something like, I'm going to take a 15-minute break in the morning and a 15-minute break in the afternoon. I'm going to put those in my calendar so that I know when those times are, so they're non-negotiable. And I'm going to do this for the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to see how that goes, and if I need to adjust it. And yeah, so these are the goals that we're going to be setting. We'll give you a bit more example as we go. Let's start with the first one. Katrina, I'll let you go through this one.
Great. Thank you, Lucy. So the first one is establishing clear boundaries between work and personal life. So it changes the way in which you perceive your personal life, and also the time for yourself. I'm going to go back to people using the word escaping, and it's almost like you're trying to shoehorn in that time, but you don't need to. That you need to be able to create those boundaries, or try your best to create those clear boundaries. Some examples for this goal could be: I will designate specific no work hours between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. every weekday evening, or I will communicate my availability to colleagues and clients during these hours and set automated email responses to manage expectations. I will limit checking emails twice a day at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Monday through to Friday. Or I will establish a designated workspace in my home office and refrain from working in other areas of the house. Or I will not have my phone in the bedroom, so I can't check work emails first thing. And I know someone wrote that in the chat, which is fantastic. So think about what kind of goals you want to set for yourself. Just one. It doesn't have to be really complex. It just needs to be achievable, something that you could put in today and say, right, I'm going to set this boundary for myself and I'm going to stick to it. So it would be great if you can share it in the chat. That would be wonderful. But also feel free to keep it to yourself, pop it down, write it in the notes in your phone, or write it down on a piece of paper. Jackie, okay. Jackie's written, this is hard to do when working at home. There is no hard stop. Yes, I know. Like getting into your car, having that distance, isn't it, to get on. And I can do this when I'm at the office, but when working from home, so much it is harder. I completely agree. I work remotely, and I get told off. Excuse me. I get told off quite a lot by my partner because I'm always like, but you have to create that space, and that's something I've started to do over the last few months, because I'm so passionate about my work. I think that I really want to be involved with it, but I also have to make sure I create that space, because within that space is a creativity, and that might then link to other ideas or thought processes that you may not have thought of before, because you're so involved in that present time in the workplace cycle. We have another one coming in. Maybe set a time in the morning and afternoon to go for a walk. Love that. Sit in the garden for a coffee. Yes, perfect. Exactly. Brilliant. And that's really achievable, especially with this sun coming out.
I love people's goals, because I just saw Miranda's one, and that's so
yes.
we're setting our goals as well, and Katrina and I are going to make sure we keep each other accountable. But that's my one. I'm not going to have lunch at my desk anymore, because I don't even
really, Lucy. All right, I'm going to keep you to that. I'm keeping you to that. I am keeping you to that.
I'm going to just a lunch break away from my desk, and then come back, because I also then don't enjoy the food that I'm eating, because I'm not even present with it. Yeah. So Mirinda, you and we're on that together.
All right, I am going to make myself a goal, and my goal will be that I take a walk in the morning or the afternoon. Now I can do this now because it's nice and sunny outside. I'm a fair weathered exerciser, outside exerciser. If it's rainy or if it's cold, I'm less likely to do it. But I am going to make that commitment with the wonderful weather and the sun shining. I will take that walk, either in the morning or the afternoon.
You're going to put that in your calendar. Will I be able to see that you're taking that time?
Yes.
I can keep you accountable. I can message you that time response.
I'll even tag you, Lucy, and we'll tag each other, and that's it. We're causing more trouble than what it's worth for ourselves, I think. No, but it's definitely worth it. So yes, let's keep ourselves accountable. Brilliant. What's the next one, Lucy?
Next one is rest. I mean, we know this, and we're talking about this within boundaries as well. A lot of these kind of join together, they're connected. So there's two types of rest, isn't there? There's the taking rest throughout the workday. We get caught up in the demands of our jobs, and we know that research over and over again says taking regular breaks is essential for being more productive, for having increased focus. So if you feel as if you need to take more rest out during the workday, then maybe your goal would be that within rest. However, there's also, we know that holidays, that's a huge thing that we need to take that extended break. So yes, short breaks during the day, but also the extended break as well. So strategies for taking holidays. Plan your holidays in advance and communicate your plans with employers and colleagues. Katrina, you did a brilliant thing recently when we went away, that in your signature for, I think it was maybe even a month before you went.
Yeah, it was.
We knew that you were going, so I was very much prepared. So I think that was a really good strategy to do, that I'm now going to do. I'm going to plan my holiday in advance, take that time off, because we always need to submit it about 4 or 5 months. But I think even we know we're going to take a summer holiday, stick to it. Yeah, I'm just making colleagues aware that what your holiday intentions are. So maybe you want to set a goal for rest. I know that my goal is to plan my holidays in advance, and to do what, Katrina, what you did, is to put that in my signature so that people know that I'm going away. And a brilliant one there. Don't take work devices on.
Yeah, I've just seen that one. Absolutely. 100%.
Will that be your goal, Katrina, perhaps?
Yes, I'm going to take that one on. Thank you, Emma. It's really important. I think I did, or I have to be honest and upfront. I have checked my email sometimes whilst I've been away. Again, because I'm so passionate about helping people and making sure everyone's okay. But I need to take that time out. It's really important, and it really does make that difference. And it changes the way that you relax and your thought process, and it just gives you that time, doesn't it? So yes, I'm going to be using that one.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? I go for a walk for a couple of miles, roughly half an hour each morning, first thing before I start work. Fantastic. Starts the day off right and sets a good tempo. Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you, Dirin.
Okay.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, should we go on to prioritizing time management, Luce?
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Okay, so this is about efficiently managing your time, and this can help alleviate stress by reducing feelings of feeling overwhelmed and increasing productivity. So break tasks into manageable chunks, prioritize them based on urgency and importance, and also use a tool like to-do lists or time blocking techniques to stay organized. So how do you stay organized? I'd like you to add some comments in the chat. That would be wonderful. How do you stay organized? And maybe what kind of goal would you put in place for this time management? I'd like to say, before I start my day, I write a to-do list rather than going straight to my emails. I find it really clear in my head. I know what I'm doing for the day. I know that I'm set up, and I know what I can expect. So it makes me feel really in control of what I'm doing, and makes me more productive knowing what's going to be coming next. I mean, there may well be slight fluctuations and flexibility in that, but fundamentally, I know what to expect in that day. So that really does help me. Now, some ideas, if you're stuck, could well be to set your goal for this particular step is that I will start each workday by creating a prioritized do list, focusing on high impact tasks and adjusting priorities as needed, or I will schedule dedicated time blocks or focused work, minimizing distractions to improve productivity. Let's have a look and see what comments there are, Lucy. Do we have anyone commenting on this?
People are also recommending different tools as well. So I use
fantastic
Google Suite, the Keep, as my to-do list. There's some great ones there. I also saw some, I think it was Ella, and apologies if I got the name wrong because it's far too high up in the chat. I can't see it now. But they mentioned writing a worry list. And that's something that I've started to do. In the morning, I don't just say what my to-do list, I also write down things that I'm worried about. And I kind of free write it, I journal it. And I feel that the process of getting it down on paper makes me relax. I think, okay, that's what I'm worried about. This is what I've got to do. And it just gives me that space to plan my day effectively and to get those worries out of my head. So I don't just go straight in and keep those worries. I read, and actually once I write them down, they often don't seem as unmanageable as they might do when I'm just ruminating them in my head.
It's almost like when you write them down, it becomes an objective rather than subjective. So you can see and you can realize and kind of look at it logically than if it's stuck in your head and you're constantly going into that cycle of the thinking trap almost. Beatrice put something about it's gone now, but I wanted to note that, and I think it's really important as well. Saying no to last minute requests, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really healthy thing to do. Being able to say no. I'm feeling confident about saying no with work in your workplace to just know what your boundaries are and stick with them to protect yourself. I mean, there is flexibility, there always has to be, but if it really is a big task and you don't feel that you can manage it in the time that you have, and saying no is particularly and absolutely acceptable.
I've just saw a good one here. So review my daily to-do list and always keep slots at the end of the day for my personal stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit, about this in a second, but when you look at your time, make sure that, it isn't just work things that are put in that time. We know that that's not going to serve us, moving forward, if everything that we do. And that we've got a couple more, but that leads me really nicely on to number 4. That is the prioritizing a healthy lifestyle. So not just writing your to-do list being about and managing your time, just work, but also you have to make sure you prioritize having a healthy lifestyle, because we know the negative effects that can happen, when we're not giving ourselves that time to do things such as eating well. We know that eating well can take a little bit longer than going to the fridge and eating a sugary snack. Making a healthy, nutritious snack does take longer. So prioritizing that time to make food, staying hydrated, being able to, like we said before, with meetings being 50 minutes, you've got that 10 minutes to go and get a drink, and prioritizing regular physical activity. I know that I can see that we're a very well-informed group here. We know that physical activity is important for our health, but sometimes that can be the first thing that goes. So by putting it into your schedule, this is when, and I love seeing it when I see my colleagues' diary, when I want to connect with them, I see that they put in, they've got their Pilates class, or they've got a 15-minute walk. They've written down what those physical activities are, and I hugely respect them for that. And I put that in as well. So making sure that we're role modeling prioritizing healthy lifestyle, especially if you're in a leadership position or in a management position, making sure you're showing that you're prioritizing your healthy lifestyle habits.
Yeah.
So have a think of, and I just a couple more notes I remember I wrote here. We know that exercise will help reduce that cortisol, those stress hormones, and it will promote mental capacity. So it will make us make better decisions, we'll be better at our jobs because we've taken that time to prioritize our health. We know that getting away from our desk and taking a walk when you're trying to solve a problem, maybe just sitting at your computer and ruminating, but actually getting away from your desk. So have a think about what the goal is that you set yourself within the category of prioritizing a healthy lifestyle.
What will you do, Lucy?
So when I said I'm going to take the rest, because as we said, all of these are linked, my rest during the day, those 15 minutes I'm going to take in the morning and the 15 minutes in the afternoon, I'm going to take a walk. Because now the sun's out.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my one. And also I think meal prep as well. Or maybe I don't know which one to choose. So we should just have one goal but maybe that's one thing
Just one.
I know that I want to start also meal prepping my lunch as well, so I have a nutritious lunch, so I don't go for the easiest thing. Yeah, feel free. Let's have a look at your health is your wealth, and
Absolutely.
thank you, Wendy, for saying that. And I can extend on that. People can sacrifice their health for wealth, and then spend all of their wealth trying to get their health back. Because we know once if those decisions that we make, especially when we're at the beginning of our careers, if we start to not prioritize our health, we'll be paying for that later in our career, later in our life.
That's a really good point. That's yeah, I like what you said there, Lucy. And we need to make sure that we are putting health first. I think for me, my goal for this one would be the meal prep. I think meal prep is brilliant. I've done it a few times, but I really want to get into a routine. So on Sundays, I want to make sure that I am making good food. And I remember doing it for a couple of weeks, and I really enjoyed it. And it kept costs down as well. So I wasn't going out just grabbing something from the shops. I was paying attention of what was going in my meals. I was thinking about the week ahead, what would be interesting. So it creates a whole variety of areas that you can develop and really pay attention and look after yourself through that kind of meal prep. So I'm going to be doing that.
Okay, amazing. And also, Mary, thank you for commenting. This one should be number one. I just want to state these aren't in order. So they're all the most powerful ways. They're all and they're so linked. So linked, having those time management so you've got time to meal prep. So all of these are interconnected.
Absolutely. And if you have the energy to do it, so making sure that you're relaxing through the day, taking some time out, whether that's walking, taking a nap, just relaxing, or doing a 15-minute guided meditation, having that energy to be able to do that is really important too.
Yeah. And I just have, Darren, yours has made me laugh. Food prep, because I think a lot, we're thinking of meal prepping, is kind of somewhat straightforward for me. Love Island does not need my undivided attention. So that's a good time to be doing it. I love that. Okay, amazing. All right. So we're coming on to the final one.
Yep, seeking support if you are stressed. So a lot of you, if you are confident, if you have that psychological safety at work, if you have a good rapport with your team, and hopefully you can talk to a supervisor or manager. Approach your supervisor or manager to discuss your concerns about how you feel and about how you're feeling stressed in the workplace. They may be able to support and provide resources or make accommodations to help alleviate the stress out. And if you don't feel comfortable seeking advice, try your HR department. Utilize employment assistant programs if you have, or if you do have the Thrive app, please use the Thrive app and access that. We have fantastic support and some great resources within our app as well. Connect with colleagues as well. Reach out to trusted colleagues or co-workers who you feel comfortable confiding in. Share your experience with others and provide that validation, support, and helpful perspectives on managing stress in the workplace. Again, seeking guidance from HR is really, really beneficial. If you don't feel you can talk to your supervisor or manager, HR can provide information on assisted programs, for example, assistance regarding workplace policies, procedures, and resources related to stress management and employee well-being. They can also offer guidance on accessing benefits such as leave or flexible work arrangements. So you can even work with HR to then have a discussion with your supervisor or manager. Consider professional counselling. If workplace stress is significantly impacting your mental health and well-being, consider seeking professional counselling or therapy outside of the workplace. A trained therapist can provide personalized support and strategies for managing stress effectively. And it means that you have that dedicated time with someone to be able to talk freely and openly in a trusted environment. Or you could participate in wellness programs. Many workplaces offer wellness programs or initiatives that focus on promoting employee well-being. So this could be stress management workshops. They could be mindfulness techniques, mindfulness sessions, fitness classes. Try gaining information about what classes are available and participating in these programs. And this can provide valuable tools and resources for coping with stress. So as a goal myself, I am going to look into different wellness programs that are offered, and I'm going to see what's available and take advantage of that, because I think that that would be really beneficial for me. Lucy, what goal do you want to set for this final step?
I was thinking what I was going to do, and I love seeing some of the ideas, and Emma, thank you for saying, to recommend, using our service, because, sometimes you want to be able to speak to somebody outside of work. Sometimes it's not easy to speak to your manager. It's not easy to speak to HR. There's still that stigma attached to,
yeah,
if like your value is attached to being the most productive, and if you're stressed, we know that it can be difficult. I actually think that designing this webinar with you, Katrina, has been such a lovely experience for us to kind of come together, talk about our stress. So we've been designing this for the last kind of month or so, and being able to connect with you and just saying, yeah, this is what happens when I get stressed. We're in different departments. So I think, could I have a goal that we will check in with each other?
Absolutely.
Because I think
I wholeheartedly welcome that, Lucy. I think that would be wonderful.
We've just been so open with each other, and I never think of you as getting stressed. And it's been really nice to hear, oh, these are the things that I do. And sometimes I have too many, I have a glass of wine and I think, oh, good, you're not perfect.
It's humanness, isn't it? It's about being, I guess it's about being vulnerable and being human, isn't it? That's what it's all about. Just opening up, knowing that no one is perfect. I'm not even sure what perfection is, but it's working with and being accountable about your mental well-being and your health. So I think that's really, really important.
And I'm loving seeing, people are saying, Paul, thank you for saying, it's so difficult when your alarm goes off early, you've got a lengthy commute, you've got a hectic workplace, then meals, all of this, and I'm really enjoying seeing people recommending things to you, and maybe you could find a colleague that you can speak to about how they are managing. But lots of people are saying, because everyone's
responding to Paul. That's great. Yeah, great, fantastic, thank you.
These things won't work, and sometimes they will work. I know someone recommended a power nap. Like if I take a power nap, I'm asleep for 3 hours. That's something find out. So
excuse me.
So thank you so much for everyone, for sharing. Okay, so those people who I'm going to move over to Slido. So because Slido's confidential, obviously chat we can see your names, but with Slido it's completely anonymized. So we would love to see the well-being goals that you've set for yourself. So we've asked you to set 5 well-being goals in the areas of the first one being within boundaries. So creating that boundary between work and your personal life. The second one, I don't have them written, so I'm now going to have to remember.
I'm going to pop it in chat for you. I'll pop it in chat for everyone.
And then we've also got
rest.
So taking that time.
Time management.
And then time management, prioritizing healthy lifestyle. And I can't remember who said it, but that should be number 1. And I really understand prioritizing your health first should be number 1. Okay, so loving seeing the goals. And let's try and remember to also be more specific with the goal. So we know we need to exercise more, but what does that look like? What does that look like for you? Are you going to put that in your calendar? What type of exercise? So I think the more specific you make your goal, and the more you add it to a certain place and you make it a non-negotiable, the more likely you are to stick to it. Okay, I'm loving seeing things.
This is great. Less social media. Put me first at the start of the day. Fantastic. Wake up early and get outside for a walk, exercise, physio, set a pace for the day. I absolutely love that one. Get back into shape, not a circle. Oh.
Turn work phone at 5 p.m. Maybe for that one, maybe could I recommend that you have an alarm that goes off on your phone to remind you to turn it off, that says, that says, turn me off. You're done now. Maybe you could put a little motivational quote in, like, exercise yourself.
Yeah.
Leaving
the time.
That's my one. Yeah, cut out.
Clock off on time at least three, maybe 3 days. 3 days a week, maybe that's meant to be saying. Oh, great. Leave my desk to eat lunch. Take time off every quarter. Make my to-do list before reading emails. Fantastic. Walk half an hour before work twice a week and talk to HR. Brilliant.
Thank you. So that's exactly what we want. Those 5 goals they're really achievable. Maybe with the talk to HR, I imagine that's sometimes quite difficult to have the confidence to do. So I recommend you reach out to them today while you've got that motivation to do it. Because I think if you put it off, you maybe aren't as likely to do it. And I think it's a really good thing to do. So put that in your calendar, and maybe write these goals down and put a post-it note as well on your computer. I'm going to write mine down.
I am too. Yeah, I think that's great. Having that on a post-it on the screen is really helpful.
Leave phone charging in a different room at night.
Yeah. Lucy, did you say you do that as well? I think that's fantastic.
It's been a game changer because I can't look at work emails first thing because it's not there, and it's in a different room. And I walk my dog before going to get my phone, and that has just changed everything, because it means that you're prioritizing yourself. You've got time to recalibrate after a night's sleep. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. We're in good company here. I think a lot of you already know these, we know these things that we could be doing. Emma, UK law changed at the start of April to give employees more rights to flexible working. Yeah, so if anyone's thinking, I'm not able to put some of these in, thank you for sharing that that the UK law has changed. So researching that and knowing what your rights are and knowing what you want to put in.
That's definitely a step to take, to discuss that with your HR department. So along with all the other resources that they can provide you with to give you support. We've got work stops when I leave the office. Do not open emails after work hours. Brilliant.
Yeah, and we've got not opening the work laptop when I'm home. And have a think about how you're going to do that, because the temptation can be does your work laptop need to come out of your work bag? Perhaps maybe it doesn't even need to come out of your work bag. So you've got that, because I feel as if sometimes we need to put those extra things in place in order to stop us from doing it. Thank you.
So sometimes it's a physical thing, isn't it? So maybe leaving the laptop by the door. So as you come in, you leave the laptop bag. And so as you go out, you just pick it up as you go to work. But you may be working home, but you could still do that as a way of creating. It may be an overkill, but to set that intention and to keep that the commitment and the goal in place, that maybe you need to do that or create that that process.
Okay, well, we're slowly coming to the end, and I also want to make sure that we practice what we preach, and that we give that couple of minutes at the end, just in case you've got to go to another call at 1. So thank you so much to everyone for sharing. I've taken a lot from this, and I just hope that you're able to find ways to stick to these goals, and if they become hard, that you have the confidence to be able to speak to somebody in your organization.
We do have a QR code that you can scan. If you want to know more about Thrive Mental Wellbeing, please do so. It's just a very simple form that you could fill in. So please go ahead and scan that now before we leave you today.
Lovely, and thank you for all the thank yous. We've really enjoyed putting this together for you.
Yeah, we did. We really did.
So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you for your time today, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Okay. Nice. I'm just going to leave this up for a little bit, just in case a few last people just need to scan the
QR code.
A little bit more about us as an organization, but thank you to all the thank yous coming through. Okay.
Thank you to everyone.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.